Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that's constantly rushing. Rushing to succeed, rushing to prove, rushing to be seen. But let me tell you something I've learned through fire and failure, through wins and wounds. Before you chase the world, you've got to sit with yourself. Before anything else, before the accolades, the applause, the accomplishments, there is one critical step that far too many overlook: doing the inner work. Focusing on yourself is not just the starting line, it's the foundation. Everything you build, everything you share with the world will only ever be as strong as the person you are within. In today's world, we are trained from a young age to hustle. We are taught to chase success, chase validation, chase the next big thing. But no one tells you to pause, to turn the lens inward, to ask yourself the tough questions. Who am I? What do I believe in? What wounds haven't healed? What patterns am I repeating that no longer serve me? These aren't easy questions, but they're essential. Because when you don't take the time to confront your own story, your past will lead your future. You'll make decisions from a place of fear, insecurity, or ego, instead of clarity and truth. You'll measure your value by likes and followers, instead of integrity and self-respect. And most importantly, you'll spend your life trying to be seen when what you truly need is to see yourself. Focusing on yourself isn't about ignoring others or becoming self-centered. It's about responsibility. It's about knowing that if you don't do the hard work of understanding your triggers, your trauma, your truth, you'll unintentionally hurt people along the way, including yourself. Real growth means sitting in discomfort. It means acknowledging what's broken so you can begin to rebuild. It means unlearning the lies you were told and replacing them with truths you decide for yourself. There's a kind of power that only comes from knowing who you are, from being rooted, not shaken by opinions, not swayed by trends. And that kind of power is magnetic. It's not loud or boastful. It doesn't need to be. Because when you walk into a room fully aligned with who you are, people feel it. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to be. So often, we're taught that taking time for yourself is a luxury, that slowing down is weakness, that therapy is taboo, that rest is laziness. But all of that is a lie. Rest is recovery. Healing is revolutionary. And self-awareness is the most underrated superpower in the world. You have dreams, goals, a vision for your life, and that's beautiful. But how can you show up fully in your relationships, your career, or your purpose if you're carrying the weight of unprocessed pain or unresolved doubt? You can't build a skyscraper on shaky ground, and you definitely can't light up the world if you're running on an empty flame. This is the moment to give yourself permission to turn inward, to create space, to listen, to be honest, to forgive yourself, to protect your peace, to let go of shame, to understand that taking care of your mind, body, and soul is not extra, it's essential. Don't let the world rush you. Don't get caught in the illusion that everyone else has it all figured out. They don't. No one does. The difference is some people are willing to do the inner work, and some people are just trying to outrun it. You deserve more than a life that looks good on the outside but feels empty on the inside. You deserve wholeness. You deserve depth. You deserve to feel proud of the person you are when no one's watching. So take the time, focus on yourself, not just for your own peace, but because the world needs people who lead from a place of wisdom, not woundedness. People who show up with heart, not ego. People who can inspire not because they are perfect, but because they've been through the fire and came out whole. Do the work, sit with your truth, reclaim your story, because the strongest thing you will ever build is not your resume, not your reputation, but your relationship with yourself. Focusing on yourself is often misunderstood. The moment someone decides to put themselves first, to prioritize their needs, their healing, their growth, labels get thrown around: selfish, egoistic, too much. But here's the truth. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. In fact, it's one of the most generous things you can do because it allows you to show up for the world as your best, most whole, most grounded self. We grow up hearing that putting others first is noble, that sacrifice is a sign of strength. And yes, there is beauty in selflessness. There is grace in giving, but that cannot come at the expense of your own well-being. You cannot constantly give from an empty well. Eventually that well runs dry. And then what happens? Resentment builds, exhaustion creeps in, the sparkle in your eyes starts to fade. That's not selfless. That's self-neglect. True strength lies in knowing your boundaries, honoring your time, protecting your energy. It's not about saying no to others out of coldness. It's about saying yes to yourself out of love. And that shift in perspective changes everything. There is nothing wrong with stepping back and saying, I need a moment. I need to breathe. I need to figure out who I am outside of all the roles I've been playing. You are not just someone's partner, child, parent, employee, friend. You are you. And you deserve to know that version of yourself intimately. When you focus on yourself, you begin to heal in ways that ripple outward. Your relationships become healthier because you're not showing up with codependency or people pleasing. Your work improves because you're not constantly seeking validation. You're creating from a place of authenticity. Your mental health stabilizes because you're finally listening to your needs instead of suppressing them for the sake of others. And here's another truth. When you prioritize your own growth, you set an example for those around you. You give others permission to do the same. You show them that it's okay to rest. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to take time away from the noise and go inward. In a world that praises hustle, taking a pause is a radical act. In a society obsessed with appearances, choosing self-awareness over performance is revolutionary. There is power in that kind of rebellion. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't need a stage, just a mirror and a moment of honesty. Focusing on yourself also means accepting the responsibility of your own happiness. It's easy to blame others for the way we feel. It's easy to point fingers when life feels unfair. But when you shift from victim to creator, everything changes. You stop waiting for someone else to fix you, save you, or complete you. You realize you were never broken. You were just buried under everyone else's expectations. Start choosing yourself in small ways. Turn off your phone and sit in silence. Say no to something that doesn't align with your values. Walk away from conversations that drain your soul. Read something that nourishes your mind. Speak to yourself with compassion instead of criticism. These may sound like simple acts, but they're revolutionary in a world that constantly asks us to be everything to everyone. You can't love others deeply if you haven't learned to love yourself. You can't lead others clearly if you haven't led yourself through darkness. Focusing on yourself is the foundation, the blueprint. It's not about narcissism. It's about necessary nourishment. And one day, when you're back in the world, doing your thing, chasing your dreams, giving your all, you'll be doing it from a place of alignment, not emptiness. From abundance, not depletion. So no, focusing on yourself is not selfish. It's the most selfless thing you can do because the version of you that emerges from that inner work, that version is more present, more powerful, more purposeful, and that version changes lives. Not by force, but by example. Take care of yourself, invest in yourself, be kind to yourself. Because the more you fill your own cup, the more you can pour into others without losing a single drop. In a world full of filters, facades, and fast-paced expectations, authenticity is becoming rare. We're surrounded by curated perfection, perfect photos, perfect answers, perfect lives, and the pressure to keep up can be overwhelming. But here's something worth remembering. Authenticity will always outshine appearance. Who you are deep down matters more than how well you present yourself on the outside. We've been conditioned to believe that we need to look a certain way, speak a certain way, live a certain way in order to be accepted. So we learn to perform. We learn to wear masks that make other people comfortable. We adjust our truth to fit into rooms that were never built for us. But what happens when the applause fades? What happens when the world doesn't notice, or worse, doesn't care? Who are you then? That's where authenticity comes in. Being real with yourself and with the world is not only courageous, it's liberating. It allows you to stop performing and start living. It allows you to stop chasing approval and start embracing your truth. And when you get to that place where your actions, your values, and your words align, that's when life starts to feel right. Authenticity doesn't mean sharing everything with everyone. It doesn't mean exposing your soul to people who haven't earned that right. It simply means being honest with yourself first, knowing your boundaries, owning your story, not shrinking to fit and not inflating to impress. Just being who you are, fully, boldly, unapologetically. But here's the catch. Authenticity isn't easy. It takes work. It means facing your fears, acknowledging your flaws, and choosing truth even when lies feel easier. It means saying no when you're expected to say yes. It means walking away from situations where you don't feel seen, even if they look good from the outside. And it often means standing alone. But authenticity is also freedom. When you stop trying to fit into someone else's version of success or beauty or strength, you begin to create your own definition. You stop dimming your light for the comfort of others. You stop living on autopilot and start living with purpose. There is power in not needing to be everything for everyone. There is strength in being okay with not being liked by everyone, as long as you're respected by the one person who matters most, you. Because the truth is, people can sense when you're not being real. And while you might impress them for a moment, you won't inspire them. Real connection comes from realness, from vulnerability, from truth. The people who matter, the ones who are meant for you, they will be drawn to your authenticity, not your perfection. They'll value your honesty over your highlight reel. They'll choose your depth over your performance. And more importantly, you'll start to value those things in yourself too. You are not here to be a copy of someone else. You are not here to water yourself down to be more digestible. You are not here to earn your worth. You were born with it. And the moment you realize that, the moment you stop living for the approval of others and start living for the alignment of your soul, everything shifts. You don't have to be the loudest in the room. You don't have to be the most followed or the most praised. But if you're the most real, the most grounded, the most aligned, you will stand out without even trying. Because there's something magnetic about people who are rooted in who they are. They radiate peace. They radiate purpose. They don't beg for respect. They command it, silently, effortlessly. So let go of the pressure to appear perfect. Let go of the urge to perform. Let go of the belief that you are only as good as your image. Instead, embrace the beautiful mess that you are. Embrace the journey. Embrace the scars, the struggles, the softness. That's where your power lives. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to be seen as you are. The world needs more truth. The world needs more you. So take off the mask, drop the script, and show up as your full, raw, radiant self. Because authenticity, not appearance, is what leaves a legacy. When you try to impact the world without first preparing yourself, you risk building something powerful on a fragile. It might look good for a while, successful on the outside, praised by others, but eventually the cracks begin to show. Real impact, real influence, and real purpose don't come from speed or ambition alone. They come from preparation, from doing the slow, quiet, often invisible work of becoming someone who is ready. There's a difference between movement and momentum. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're building something meaningful. Just because you're in motion doesn't mean you're in alignment. We live in a culture that romanticizes hustle, glorifies exhaustion, and applauds results, often at the cost of peace, clarity, and wholeness. But preparation, that doesn't get enough credit. Because preparation is the unglamorous part. It's the part where no one's watching. The part that doesn't make headlines. The part where you wrestle with doubt, stretch past comfort, and build discipline when motivation has run out. Preparation is the training ground for your purpose. It's the hours spent reading, learning, unlearning. It's the time spent in silence, figuring out who you are when everything else is stripped away. It's the moments when you choose growth over ease, truth over popularity, and long-term purpose over short-term validation. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. And here's what most people miss. The preparation is the transformation. You don't become great when you get the opportunity. You become great in the seasons no one sees, so that when the opportunity comes, you're ready to carry it with grace, not ego. You can't pour into others when your own well is dry. You can't guide others through the storm when you've ignored your own weather. And you can't show up for your calling if you're still running from your healing. Preparation is what gives your purpose roots. It gives you the stamina to keep going when things get hard, and they will. It gives you the humility to stay grounded when things go right, and they will too. Some of the strongest, most influential people in the world didn't get there because they pushed their way into the spotlight. They got there because they spent time becoming the kind of person who could handle the weight of that light. That's the difference between someone who flashes bright for a season and someone who lasts for a lifetime. There's nothing wrong with ambition. There's nothing wrong with having big dreams. But if your drive outpaces your development, you risk losing yourself in the very thing you are chasing. Impact without preparation leads to burnout. Influence without grounding leads to ego. And success without self-awareness leads to emptiness. So instead of asking, how can I get there faster? Ask, who do I need to become to stay there once I arrive? Because that's where the real work is. It's in becoming someone who can hold space for others without losing themselves. Someone who can lead with empathy, not ego. Someone who can create from a place of purpose, not pressure. Don't rush your becoming. There is a reason for the quiet seasons. The times where nothing seems to be happening on the surface, that's when the roots are growing. That's when your character is being built. That's when your voice is being shaped, your resilience is being tested, and your clarity is being sharpened. And when it's finally time to go, when it's your moment to step into the world and do the thing you were born to do, you won't have to fake confidence. You won't have to pretend to be ready. You will be ready because you put in the work when no one was clapping. You laid the foundation, brick by brick, with intention and integrity. So honor the process. Don't skip the stillness. Don't overlook the boring, steady, uncelebrated steps. That's where greatness is born, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. The world doesn't need people who act fast. It needs people who act right. People who know themselves, who've done the work, and who move with intention. Because when you're prepared, you're not just reacting to life. You're responding with purpose. Prepare deeply, grow quietly, and when the time comes, go loudly. There's a difference between moving with purpose and moving with pressure. One feels grounded, clear, and steady, even when it's hard. The other feels rushed, anxious, and never enough. In a world that thrives on urgency and comparison, it's easy to confuse the two. We're constantly being told to do more, be more, achieve more. But just because you're moving doesn't mean you're headed in the right direction. And just because everyone else seems to be running doesn't mean you need to chase what isn't meant for you. Going with purpose is intentional, it's thoughtful, it's rooted in self-awareness. It says, I know who I am, I know what I value, and I will move at a pace that honors both. It doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. It doesn't seek validation at every turn. It's not performative, it's powerful. On the other hand, moving with pressure is performative, it's reactive. It's born from fear, fear of being left behind, fear of not being enough, fear of missing out. It forces you to make choices based on other people's timelines, not your own readiness. It has you constantly measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel, forgetting that your journey has a rhythm that's completely unique to you. When you move with purpose, you give yourself permission to pause. You give yourself grace when things don't happen as fast as you expected. You understand that timing is part of the process, and just because something is delayed doesn't mean it's denied. Purposeful movement respects the value of preparation. It honors the in-between moments. It sees the beauty in becoming. Too often we let pressure trick us into thinking we're behind, that we should have already made it, that we're late to the game. But the truth is, there is no race. There is no deadline on your becoming. There is no universal clock that says your dreams expire if they don't happen by a certain age or season. What if instead of letting pressure lead us, we let peace lead us? What if we stopped chasing and started choosing? What if we stopped performing for approval and started aligning with our actual purpose? The truth is, when you move with pressure, you say yes to things that don't align just because they look good. You exhaust yourself proving your worth. You let other people's expectations override your own instincts. And eventually you burn out. Not because you're not capable, but because you were carrying something that was never yours to begin with. But when you move with purpose, your yes is sacred. You don't rush into things for the sake of appearances. You trust your timing, your process, and your path. You don't let pressure push you into decisions that feel off, even if they look perfect on paper. Purpose is quiet confidence. It doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It just needs to be true. Purposeful living is not about being slow. It's about being strategic. It's not about doing less. It's about doing what actually matters. And that takes courage, it takes patience, it takes the strength to stand still when everyone else is sprinting, because you know your next step deserves your full intention. You were not created to be in constant chase mode. You were not born to live according to someone else's script. You were meant to live with clarity, with depth, with direction. And that means sometimes choosing the slower route, the quieter road, the deeper path, because that's where your soul feels at home. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, like you're not moving fast enough, take a breath and ask yourself, am I moving with purpose or am I moving with pressure? That one question can realign your entire life. Let purpose guide your pace. Let peace set the tempo. Let alignment, not anxiety, determine your next move. Because when you move with purpose, you don't just arrive, you arrive whole. And that kind of arrival is what changes everything. Letting go is one of the hardest, most powerful things you'll ever do. Because letting go is not about weakness or defeat. It's not about quitting or giving up. Letting go is strength. It's clarity. It's freedom. It's the moment you finally stop forcing, stop holding on to what no longer serves you, and start creating space for what truly belongs in your life. We hold on for so many reasons. Fear of the unknown, comfort in the familiar, guilt, pride, hope. We hold on to relationships that drain us, versions of ourselves that no longer fit, dreams that once made sense but now feel heavy. We hold on because we think letting go means failure, that it means we didn't try hard enough or care enough. But sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is walk away with love and dignity, not bitterness and blame. Letting go is not the end of something, it's the beginning of something better aligned. It's the moment you choose your peace over your need to be right, your sanity over your desire to control, your future over your past. It's the decision to stop watering dead plants and start planting new seeds, ones that can actually grow in the life you're building now, not the one you were trying to survive back then. We grow up thinking we need to hold on tightly to people, to outcomes, to identities we've outgrown. But growth asks for space. Healing asks for silence. Transformation asks for surrender. You cannot rise while clinging to what keeps you small. You cannot evolve if you're constantly dragging the weight of what no longer aligns with who you're becoming. Letting go is not about forgetting. It's about remembering your worth. It's about recognizing that not everything you lose is a loss. That sometimes letting go is how you make room for joy, for clarity, for purpose. It's how you teach the universe and yourself that you are ready for more, that you are no longer available for cycles that steal your light. It's hard, yes, because letting go often means grieving the version of life you thought you wanted, the version that felt safe, the one you invested in. It means facing the silence, the unknown, the space between what was and what could be. But in that space, something sacred happens. You begin to hear yourself again. You begin to remember what it's like to breathe without pressure, to move without fear, to trust your own voice. Letting go doesn't mean you stop loving someone or something. It means you stop loving them at the expense of yourself. It means you choose alignment over attachment. You choose truth over illusion. And you choose to trust that if something is meant for you, it will never require you to betray your peace in order to keep it. There will be days when the old pain tries to pull you back, when the memories flood in and make you question everything. That's okay. Healing is not linear. Closure is not always loud. Sometimes it's just a quiet moment where you decide, I deserve better, and you move forward. Even if your voice shakes, you don't need to announce you're letting go. You don't need to justify it. You just need to live it. Quietly, powerfully, fully. Let the world feel the shift in your energy. Let your boundaries speak louder than your explanations. Let your peace do the talking. The moment you truly let go, you will feel it in your body. A release. A breath you didn't know you were holding. A lightness that doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from finally honoring your truth. And that truth will guide you. It will lead you to spaces that celebrate your soul, not suffocate it. To people who meet you where you are, not where they want to keep you. So let go of the guilt, of the pressure, of the timelines that don't fit. Let go of what hurt you, even if it once held you. Let go of who you were, so you can become who you're meant to be. Because letting go isn't about giving up, it's about rising up. It's not about losing, it's about finally choosing you.